Donald Trump just got publicly humiliated by China, and the way it happened reveals everything about America's collapsing influence on the global stage. On Thursday, China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs released a statement that was polite, diplomatic, and absolutely devastating. China will stay firmly committed to safeguarding the international system with the UN at its core. Translation: thanks but no thanks, Donald. I'm Elle of House of Elle on YouTube. I have a PhD in computer science and I work in finance, where reading between the lines of diplomatic statements is part of the job. And what just happened isn't just China declining an invitation to Trump's so-called Board of Peace. This is China publicly demonstrating that America can no longer set the terms of global governance. Here's what actually happened. At the World Economic Forum in Davos this week, Trump launched his Board of Peace, supposedly to oversee Gaza reconstruction, but in reality, it's a pay-to-play scheme where countries can buy a permanent seat for $1 billion. Trump stood on that stage and proclaimed that it would be the most prestigious board ever assembled and would do pretty much whatever we want to do. He explicitly took a dig at the United Nations, claiming his board would get more work done than the UN. Then he invited everyone: Russia, China, major European powers. According to US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, up to 25 countries actually accepted. And here's where the humiliation actually starts. Look at who actually showed up to Thursday's signing ceremony. The list includes Pakistan, UAE, Hungary, Belarus, Azerbaijan, Egypt, Armenia, Turkey, Qatar, Jordan, Kosovo, Morocco, Argentina, Bahrain, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. Notice what's missing? China. Russia sent no representative despite Putin supposedly accepting. Canada, uninvited after standing up to Trump. The UK explicitly declined. France, Germany, Italy, all absent. India, Japan, Thailand, no response. Trump tried to assemble the world's most prestigious board. What he got was a collection of autocrats, client states, and countries desperate for American favor. But China did not just decline quietly. The official statement was a masterclass in diplomatic shade. China always practices true multilateralism, they say. No matter how the international landscape may evolve, China will stay firmly committed to safeguarding the international system with the UN at its core, the international order based on international law, and the basic norms governing international relations based on the purposes and principles of the UN Charter. When you work in finance, you really learn to decode this language. What China actually said was, we already have a governance framework. It's called the United Nations. And unlike your pay-to-play scheme, it's based on international law and sovereign equality. The timing here makes this even more brutal. Just 4 months ago, in September 2025, Chinese President Xi Jinping unveiled the Global Governance Initiative at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. The GGI outlines 5 core principles: sovereign equality, international rule of law, multilateralism, people-centered approach, and concrete action. And here's the kicker: over 140 countries and international organizations have already expressed support for China's framework. So when Trump invited China to pay $1 billion to join his board, Beijing was essentially being asked to abandon their own successful multilateral initiative, one with 10 times the support, to legitimize Trump's transactional model instead. According to Al Jazeera, experts warned that the Board of Peace could hollow out the UN without formally abolishing it. You don't really need to destroy the United Nations, they noted. You just kind of drain attention, drain money, and create a habit where major decisions move to ad hoc bodies controlled by great powers. China looked at that proposal and basically said, we're building the opposite. The financial mechanism here is also fascinating. Trump's model is explicitly transactional. Pay $1 billion for a permanent seat or join for 3 years without payment. It's government as a service, basically. Buy your influence. China's GGI operates on completely different principles, by the way. No membership fees, no permanent seats for sale, just commitment to UN Charter principles and multilateral cooperation. So what are the actual consequences of China's rejection in this case? First, I think it exposes the limits of American convening power. When the most prestigious thing Trump can assemble is a room full of autocrats and client states, while China, the European Union, and India stay away, that tells you everything about who sets the global agenda in 2026, right? The Board of Peace Charter itself is also revealing. While Trump marketed it as a Gaza reconstruction initiative, the official 11-page charter doesn't mention Gaza a single time. It's a framework for Trump to insert himself into global conflicts wherever he wants, with participation from countries that pay for access. Compare that to China's approach. The Global Governance Initiative builds on existing UN structures. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization now represents the largest regional international organization by both population and territory. BRICS, after its historic expansion, includes countries representing nearly 50% of the world's population and 25% of global GDP. We have another video on that. Check it out if you're curious. These are not theoretical frameworks. China helped establish the BRICS New Development Bank, the first multilateral development institution founded and led by emerging markets. They are supporting an SCO development bank for infrastructure and socioeconomic development. These are concrete alternatives to Western-controlled financial institutions. And here's what most analysts are missing, in my opinion. This rejection is not about Gaza at all. It's about China refusing to legitimize a governance model that undermines the very multilateral system China is actively building. When Trump says the Board of Peace will do pretty much whatever we want to do, he is admitting that it's not really about rule of law. It's about American power exercised through willing participants who've paid for access. Andreas Boni, a professor of China Foreign Affairs University, noted that China, and I'm quoting here, has proposed its own global governance framework through the Global Governance Initiative, so it will likely move cautiously on Trump's proposed plan. That's diplomatic understatement. China did not move cautiously. They moved very decisively, in my opinion, by publicly rejecting it, while reaffirming their own commitment to UN-centered multilateralism. By the way, if you want to understand how these alternative governance structures actually work and why they matter for the global balance of power, I wrote a book called Awake, the Practice of Critical Thinking in an Age of Self-Lies. It's available as an ebook and audiobook. Subscribers get 10% off, and you can grab the first chapter completely free in the description. The geopolitical chessboard is being redrawn in real time. You definitely need the analytical frameworks to see the moves before they happen. So what happens next? First, watch how the Board of Peace gets covered 6 months from now, when the only participants are autocratic regimes and countries dependent on American aid. The most prestigious board ever assembled becomes an international embarrassment. Second, watch for growing bifurcation in global governance. You now have two competing models: Trump's transactional pay-to-play framework versus China's multilateral UN-centered approach. Countries will increasingly be forced to choose which system they want to participate in, which system they want to believe in. Third, and this is the prediction most people will miss, I think, watch for China to use this moment to accelerate GGI's adoption. Every time Trump tries to create parallel institutions outside the UN, China can point to that as evidence that America is abandoning rule-based international order. That strengthens China's pitch to the global South. Join our framework that respects sovereignty or submit to American transactional demands. The pattern is already clear. Canada rejected Trump's board and got uninvited out of spite. European powers declined to participate. Russia accepted the invitation but sent no one to the sighting. China issued a diplomatic rejection that reaffirmed UN principles. What Trump has created is not a board of peace. It's a public demonstration of America's declining ability to set the terms of global governance. And here's the beautiful irony. By trying to hollow out the UN, Trump is driving countries directly into China's alternative frameworks. Every outreach, every transactional demand, every public slight strengthens the case for multilateral alternatives. Doesn't even have to be China's. China did not reject Trump's invitation. They rejected the entire premise that America gets to redesign global governance on its own terms. And judging by who showed up to that signing ceremony versus who stayed away, the rest of the world is making the same calculation. For a deep dive into how BRICS and other alternative governance structures are already reshaping the global order and why this matters for your financial future as well, check out the video on your screen. That's where you'll see the full picture of what is being built while America's influence quietly sort of crumbles. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.